Hello, it's Simon from Film Stories, taking a segue into the world of one of my absolute favourite TV shows, Doctor Who, which at the point this is being recorded, where are we? Let me look at the date. This is June 2025. We're heading towards the middle of June, and not for the first time, and I've been through this lots of times as a Doctor Who fan, the future of Doctor Who is up in the air. The state of play is the bits that we know that have been factually confirmed. Disney entered into a co-production deal with the BBC for a finite number of episodes of Doctor Who, which covered the specials that we saw for the 60th anniversary, which covered Christmas special, which covered, inverted commas, season 1 and season 2 with Ncuti Gatwa's tenure as the Time Lord, and also at the point of recording, forthcoming spin-off series, The War Between the Land and the Sea, which features UNIT, and sort of got a little bit teased in Doctor Who, inverted commas, season 2, which we've just seen. At the end of, this is where we go into spoilers. So if you're not up to date with the Reality War, the latest, at the point this has been recorded, episode that's been transmitted, I would avoid the rest of this. At the end of Reality War, we know that Ncuti Gatwa regenerated. A video went out from the BBC straight afterwards. Ncuti Gatwa is no longer the Doctor. Regenerated into Billy Piper, who was pointedly not introduced as the Doctor. So there's an assumption there. It's almost like a bait and switch, isn't it? There's an assumption there that there is a thread to be picked up that will not mean Billy Piper is the Doctor. Again, might come to that in a minute. It was always said, with the Disney deal, that a third season of the show with Disney and Disney Plus money would be dependent on the ratings. But most of us who'd been watching this for some time noted that the second season of Ncuti Gatwa's Doctor Who adventures had already pretty much shot by the time the first season finished, and the third season, not a frame. There's no Christmas special this year, and let's face it, there isn't going to be one, even if everybody came together around a table and won Euro Millions or something. To get a Christmas special start to finish now would be on the tight side. Let's just generously go with that. And so we're left sort of in a limbo here with no formal announcement made about Disney's ongoing involvement with the show, but most of us reading the runes fairly comfortably, and current showrunner Russell T Davies has hardly dissuaded us from this particular narrative that Disney's interest in Doctor Who is over. And there are reporters online now who are saying that it's definitely dead. Disney isn't going to put more money into Doctor Who. This all comes at a point where Tony Gilroy's been talking about trying to get money out of Disney to make the Andor series that he's just done, the Star Wars spin, and was told a year or two ago, inverted commas, streaming is dead. And I don't know. I don't know the inner workings of Disney. Maybe Disney is looking at where it spends its money, reducing its spending money for Disney Plus original, inverted commas, series. Maybe the ratings for Doctor Who outside of the UK just weren't what Disney needed. Inside the UK, even though like the week-to-week ratings have been weak, I mean, you can't spin that really, the archive continues to deliver. The physical media discs continue to sell. Sorry, phone. The physical media discs continue to sell at great numbers. And so Doctor Who is very much alive and kicking in the UK. What it isn't doing is filming. And there's a vacuum of information that we don't currently know who the Doctor is. We don't know when another episode of the show will be even shooting. We know that Russell T Davies has said in the past that he's written lots of episodes, and so and there are lots of stories ready. Inverted commas again, a lot of inverted commas, but a lot of stories like on the launch pad that could get up and running fairly quickly, and so we're kind of at this point where we're trying to piece together what happened. And what seems to have happened is a change of plan. That, again, there's a lot of NDAs involved with this, non-disclosure agreements. There's a lot of, I don't know, just toing and froing, trying to work out what went on. But it seems fairly clear that there were changes made to the Reality War. These weren't reshoots, that there was additional shooting that took place earlier this year. And if you believe the narrative that's going out at the moment, which again has not been confirmed, the idea was that Ncuti Gatwa would do a third season as the Time Lord, and then it became clear that that was not going to happen. I presume that was his intent to move on. I mean, he's in lots of Hollywood movies. He's in a film called The Roses coming up fairly soon. And so a regeneration sequence had to be factored in. And Billy Piper goes to the rumour mill. Again, I can't pretend it's anything but at the moment. Billy Piper was brought in for a redrafted ending of The Reality War. Now, I wasn't a massive fan of the Reality War episode. There are some things in it that kind of suggest a course correction had taken place, or just some kind of left turn somewhere. Not in a turn left Doctor Who way. I like that episode. That there is a promo shot, for instance, of Belinda and the Doctor at a party that didn't appear in the final episode that we saw. There's a whole thread about Carol Ann Ford's Susan returning, and I mean, just kind of like just left and just disappeared, really. In fact, I'd suggest the narrative of Belinda was kind of shortchanged a little bit. But Carol Ann Ford had come back and shot scenes as Susan Foreman. We'd seen that teased throughout the season. And there is one theory that suggests that the character of Poppy, who's played by Mavanga Phipps, was supposed to have a slightly bigger role in the ongoing kind of how the series was going to go. Sorry, Sienna Robin Mavanga Phipps. Just want to get that absolutely right. And so in the post-production, what appears to have happened is the original ending that would have, again, no one's confirmed this, would have seen Susan Foreman as a cliffhanger leading into the next series with relation to her relationship to the character of Poppy. Ruby was supposed to be around in this as well. Again, it's quite hard to piece together because it's a lot of rumours and people saying NDAs and stuff like that. But it seems it seems plausible that the character of Susan was supposed to have more of an impact on the season that we got. What instead happened is when Ncuti Gatwa was definitely leaving, things had to be changed. In fact, the rumour is like the bits that we saw with Jodie Whittaker also were added fairly late in the day as well. And just a couple of narrative shifts from the script that Russell T Davies was apparently supposed to have written in the first place. And it's left us with this kind of Billy Piper moment, which I don't think any of us are really buying, that it's the kind of thing where, I'm on the outside of this. I don't have great inside knowledge to tell you or anything like that, but as many have speculated, there's a kind of, let's leave it on a massive cliffhanger, generate an awful lot of online noise, which it absolutely did. And then it's a bit like the ending of like the first Back to the Future film, where they didn't quite know where it was going to go afterwards. And they didn't actually think they'd have to follow it up in the case of the original Back to the Future film. But if you leave a cliffhanger, it's just going to get a lot of noise. It's going to get a lot of interest. So it leaves this massive WTF cliffhanger, which doesn't seem to make an awful lot of sense. And then put out a statement saying, we're going to see where this character's going. Why is she there? Why is she there? Etc. etc. From an old school Doctor Who fan, it does feel a little bit like we're replaying the hits of the show at its commercial peak, at least in the noughties, where let's face it, we've had David Tennant back, we've had Billy Piper back now, and so I don't know. There's an element of almost hedging its bets. From what I can see, but again, I can't say it enough, I don't have the inside knowledge of this. What we do have now is this information vacuum, and it's a bit like football transfer window, isn't it? It's just like an information vacuum is filled with information, whether true or not. What appears to be happening is Doctor Who, the BBC is now looking for another partner for Doctor Who. It's hard to see the BBC now ever being able to produce Doctor Who by itself, because the influx of Disney money has raised the visual look of it. And certainly the effects in it have gone to a level we've not used to seeing in Doctor Who. I've been rewatching a load of 80s stuff recently. Let's just say that they're a little bit chalk and cheese in the way that the visual effects certainly are looking. But my point is, once you've gone up to that level, it's quite hard to come back down to that one. That certainly is the BBC is looking to sell this as a global show as well. It's now said to be looking for another partner to step in instead of Disney. Now, this to me doesn't strike me as a surprise, or B, I'd like to say massively tricky either, that I would imagine there's a reasonable amount of interest. I mean, at the top tier of entertainment companies and budgets, it's Disney, all right? But Doctor Who's always been quite happy living somewhere around this level. It doesn't need that huge amount of money. In fact, we've had episodes in the last season, Lux, for instance, where you can see there's no other way you could have done that unless someone had spent a load of cash on it. But also we've seen, like, I don't know, Lucky Day and things like that, where, it's just in the writing a lot. Sorry, that I shouldn't say that, because it's a lot more than the writing. There's so much craft that goes into the show. But my point is, the central idea of that didn't require like mega bucks. It didn't require, you could imagine that being done on a fairly contained investment. I would imagine that the future as we see it now with Doctor Who is the BBC is actively looking for another commercial partner, ideally someone who can back it for 3, 4, 5 years, perhaps doesn't need quite the level of money that Disney put in. I've not seen the Excel spreadsheet, don't know, might do, but enough to keep the show going for several years into the future. This is a really robust show, and I'm reading like the same. In the 80s, I was reading stuff about how it's had its day and it's out of time, and it's all lefty and blah blah blah. Now it's just like it's had its day, it's out of time. The billionaire-backed tabloids are telling me how woke it is and terrible and it's awful and stuff like that. And it's just like, it's the same. It's the same cycle, really. Meanwhile, millions of people watch the show and just like, can't you all like go and watch something else? Can't you? I know we're in the clickbait era and we've got to like look at me talking to a camera, and we've got to generate online discussion and things like that. But God, if you don't like it, don't watch it. You don't have to write this massive stuff telling me how woke and rubbish it is and stuff like that. It's fine. If you don't get anything out of it, move on. I do that with shows that I don't like, and kind of concentrate my efforts on the stuff that I really do. I'm not oblivious to the fact that Doctor Who's had its problems, and I really wasn't taken with the reality war at all. I just tied itself up in knots, really. And there've been 1 or 2 episodes like that, but in the midst of all the conversation, while there was so much like I don't know, Telegraph-ish kind of like moaning about the current state of Doctor Who, the series that has just gone out, if you go through it, Lux was good, The Well really good, Lucky Day really good. I enjoyed Wishworld, the story in the engine. Even on the episodes I wasn't on the really like going head over heels for, there was something of interest. It's the only one that came out as a muddle to me was the reality war. I think we talk ourselves into not liking things sometimes, and kind of, it's like almost like that playground thing that, if you like something but everyone else in the playground says you don't, do you kind of like go a little bit quiet and just say, well, I really like Doctor Who. I still really like Doctor Who. I think the Ncuti Gatwa era of the show, I think Ncuti Gatwa is a terrific and charismatic actor. I think his Doctor was a little bit undercooked. I don't quite know who his Doctor was in the end. Maybe another series would have explored that, But I also read a load of stuff about people who absolutely adore what he did, and it's great. It's exactly how it's supposed to be. This show has gone through so many changes, so many machinations, so many regimes, so many cultures, really, in over 60 years. And so there's not a single bit of me that thinks it's not coming back. Also, I don't buy the thing that it's going to be a 10-year gap or anything like that. I think that there is some momentum here. I think there is something here. And, the noise around the show at the moment, however it's been achieved, I'm still not sold on that cliffhanger, but however it's been achieved, it is cutting through. There is that noise out there. There are people talking about it. And I think it's been set up, and maybe the bait works in such a way that it feels inevitable that it's going to carry on. It feels right that it's going to carry on. And Doctor Who will change. There will be, I would imagine we're a good, year or two away from seeing another series. 2 years, I would imagine, from seeing another series, if a deal is fairly quickly struck. If not, might be specials, don't know. We're kind of used to it a little bit. If you're a Doctor Who fan, you sort of have to get out and push from time to time. You have to bide your time. But the beauty of it is there's 6 decades worth of stories to explore. And the success of the archive of Doctor Who is testament to the fact that this just won't disappear. We've also got The War Between the Land and the Sea, which is billed as a five-part mini-series. And, that might be entirely standalone. Who knows? That might be a massive success. That might change everything. Might not. But there are 5 more episodes of Who-related television coming later this year, and there's a lot more Doctor Who in the future. The internet narrative and the internet discourse and social media and stuff might have you believe that it's all dead and terrible and the world is ending and awful, blah, blah, blah. I think Doctor Who is going to go through more changes. I think it's in a period at the moment where we've got that information vacuum, but the future of it, I'm absolutely convinced, is a thing. Whether it will pick up the Susan Foreman story, I don't know now. Will Russell T Davies stay with it? I don't know now. It's just a whole bunch of questions with the certainty that the Doctor will absolutely return.